Let's talk about narcissistic abuse. I want to start with if it's one of your parents, your mom or your dad. When you have narcissistic parents, your world is shaped differently than just your average child. It doesn't matter what class or financial background you come from. Narcissism is narcissism. When you are told what you're not and constantly being corrected and manipulated and controlled into doing what that parent wants you to do, while you watch them ever so gently deal with your siblings, the golden children, and you, the scapegoat, you start to see yourself as broken or not lovable. You know what I mean? Like different from everybody else. When this is somebody who should literally have your back. They brought you into this world. They are all you have to depend on. And when you come to the realization that they're stabbing you in your back and talking about you behind your back, and that they don't love you, they actually hate you, that is a devastating blow to your existence. If you have been or in a relationship with someone who's narcissistic, whether they're diagnosed with it or not, if you see those tendencies and you're just recognizing what you've been living through, then that speaks volumes for how you have become so self-aware that you're ready to move forward and recognize the manipulation, the deception, the control, the lies, the rage have nothing to do with you. What sane, loving, satisfied, joyful person who accepts themselves has to put other people down or control them to keep them in place? What person does that? The only person that does that is someone who doesn't like themselves. Someone who's mean and evil and has a vendetta against life itself and is self-entitled, believing that you owe them something. And on some level, they helped us to believe we owed them something until we woke up and recognized, you've been controlling me all along. This was never real. I fell in love with a fantasy. And that's one of the most difficult things to get over, is when you have been living a lie. You're going to be angry about it. You're going to cry about it. You're going to talk about it. You would do good to write about it like I did. And my relationship, as I said before, I'm not a doctor, but with someone who I believe had severe narcissistic tendencies. And I was devastated for the first time in my life behind being deceived by someone that I loved, that I thought that I could trust. Until I woke up and realized that I had several disappointments and heartaches behind people who were deceptive in my life. And I am not a weak person. Trust and believe. I am not someone who you can quickly pull the wool over my eyes or, deceive me. I'm very intentional about who I let into my world. So I'm careful about listening very closely. You let somebody talk long enough, you'll recognize who they are. So for this to happen to me, it changed my life and caused me to not just be a better person, but through that experience have a better understanding for you, so that we can get through this journey together and understand that somebody else's actions have nothing to do with you. They've chosen those actions. The thing that we have to look at and say to ourselves, if this has happened to you more than once or twice, why am I repeating this cycle in my life? And that's what I did. I started to self-reflect and recognize that you're not some person that is just weak and somebody can take advantage of. So why is this happening? And it wasn't just in romantic relationships. I found it to be also sometimes in business or in just friendships that I would encounter these people. But I didn't start to really recognize it until after my heart was broken, after I was deceived and manipulated and then ghosted as though I had no value or no worth. That caused me to say, I don't ever want this to happen to me again. I don't want to draw this kind of energy or spirit in my world again. So what's up with me? And I recognize, as I shared in my past video when I spoke about narcissism, that there was a point in my life that started to mold and shape who I became. And I went back as far as my childhood and recognized where it came from. And I could trace various things happening and my behavior and how I saw the world based on the origin of how come I was even drawing that in the first place. And as a result of that, I started to understand as I peeled back the layers little by little that it was never my fault. I chose those relationships, or I chose to live my life that way with those certain people. But at the same time, I didn't come into the relationship deceptive. I didn't come into the relationship with an agenda. I came in giving each of them the benefit of the doubt. But when it's your parent, as I said earlier, you have to now realize that you are valued and you are worthy of love. And that abuse that you experienced had everything to do with that person. Your mom, your dad, even one of your siblings, and how they felt about themselves. That they didn't feel good enough to just be authentic and allow love and joy and whatever else they want to come to them. They had to control and manipulate everything around them in order to even feel whole. So how horrible of an existence is that? In conclusion, pain is pain, my mother would always say. Whether it's from narcissistic abuse or any other abuse, pain is pain. And we must remember, we didn't choose our parents. We had no control over that. So now it's time to come to the realization that they were who they are or who they were before you were even born. It had nothing to do with you. When you can wrap your brain around that, it'll help you to begin to move forward. So, since we didn't choose them, it wasn't your fault for how you behaved. Are you going to stay there or move forward? You know, Mark Twain said that there are two important dates in your life: the day you were born and the day you find out why. That's walking in destiny. And we here at Destiny Love TV are not trying to be the end all and be all to your problems, but we certainly know that there's healing for your mind and your body and your soul that you can take part in your own miracle and get up out of that toxic trauma and move forward. Oh yeah, you can go no contact, but if you don't heal from the inside out, you'll take all of that pain and all of that trauma with you into your future. How do you get over the pain of narcissistic abuse and other pain? By turning your focus within and looking at you, what you deserve, what you desire, and make a plan to get there. This is Destiny Love TV. We're so glad that you joined us today, and we're hoping that we said something to help you move forward on your journey to healing. We'll see you next time. Pay attention to the door from the ceiling to the floor. I have questions about it, so pay attention, close attention to what you see. It just might set you free. DLTV Spring Giveaway, April 2023.